Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
And my name is Ashton.
Good morning, guys.
Hello.
Good morning, Ben.
It's officially a spooky time.
Mm-hmm.
It is the horror month. It is October. And Are you getting in the festive spirit?
I've actually been thinking about this a lot because I now live in a place where I think I'll get trick-or-treated. So
Yes,
I'm
you
like,
will.
I need to plan ahead.
Or
But I don't
don't
wanna
play.
get-
You don't do you want to play?
Yeah, I love Halloween. Halloween's my favourite time of year.
Well, we lived in a house and like a sort of in a residential suburban area for the past couple of years, and we thought that we would get trick-or-treaters, and we didn't. And both
There was a
years that we
pandemic.
lived there, well, there was a pandemic. That's true. That is very true.
Because
Actually,
we did the same. Because when I was living in Leicester, we had a house that was in a suburban area, and that I thought we'll get trick-or-treaters. I bought loads of sweets. I was so excited, and then not one trick-or-treater came.
That's a good point. But yeah, we did that both years. We bought sweets, and then we just had to eat them ourselves over the next
nightmare.
week.
It's one of the best things about living in a flat is that people don't knock on your door and they leave me alone.
But you're only meant to knock on people's doors if they put something out to be
Like a
like, we're
pumpkin or
doing.
something.
Yeah, and if
Halloween.
they don't, you throw eggs at them, right?
Yeah,
That's how-
exactly. But
I think that's the rule.
my thing is that I don't normally get home until like when it's dark at
Mm.
this point. And I don't know if kids are going to go out earlier and they're like finished by 5 because it's going to be like dark by like 6.
We used to wait till it was dark to trick or treat.
Yeah, but that's what we used to do as well. But I also remember like we'd go out at like 6 and get back at 7. And if that's the
Yeah.
case, then they will miss me.
And I
I
also
won't
lived
be able to
in
give
a-
them any sweets.
in a sleepy village where there probably weren't any wrong-uns, or if they were closet wrong-uns and weren't going
Yeah.
to do anything in a village.
So maybe I'll finish early on Halloween day just so I can go home and prepare for Halloween, and I'll sit there in my little hat. I'll wear a witch's hat and I'll have my sweets, and then hopefully I'll get some trick-or-treaters. I'm
Amazing.
really excited.
The difference between the two of you is hilarious.
I'm going to go to Tesco the day after Halloween, buy really reduced miniature Mars bars and then stock my cupboard with them and slowly consume them until next
Only on
October.
Saturdays.
When when I will do the same thing again. Anyway, this is a video game podcast. It is actually a video game podcast. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate you. Each and every week, we're sponsored by a very real video game adjacent sponsor. Helps us keep the lights on. Dead Island 2 the Spider. Do we see?
There was one down there, look.
Oh, is that a spider up there, or is it just a bit of gubbins?
I think a bit of spider's web, but there is a spider down there.
Is that an alive spider?
Yeah, I think so, because there was one down that we saw that was a dead spider, but then
but
there's
we
another
refuse to
spider
believe
there
that that was
now.
Dead Island 2
But
the
that
Spider.
one wasn't there before, and that does look a lot like Dead Island 2 the Spider.
That's a live
Can we
island
tag it?
too.
Can we get a biro and colour it in a bit?
I don't know.
Do a bit of nail varnish or something.
Yeah.
Can we ring it like a pigeon?
Yes, just put a massive tracker. Can we put a GoPro on that spider?
Yeah.
Boom, it falls to the floor. Dead
Anyway.
Island 2 the Spider appears to still be with us.
Yeah.
But we're sponsored by a very real sponsor. I've got the ad read right here.
Sorry, Ben, to interrupt you. I actually think Dead Island 2 is back in his favourite spot because that is a spider up there.
You
So
think?
there's a secondary spider in the room now. Dead Island 1 must be here as well.
But we don't like Dead Island 1 the
No.
Spider. So if that one dies, we're not invested
upset,
in
but
that
I-
one.
Where are you pointing
pretty-
Ashton up there?
No,
Or-
where Dead Island
there.
2 normally is. Up
Spuda.
there, look.
Dead
There's-
Island
yeah,
Spuda.
yeah.
There's a spider up there.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
at least there's something up there.
Looks like a spider.
Yeah, I think
Dead
it
Island
could
2
be a
the
spider.
Spider is there.
Yeah.
The ad read for this week, I've got it.
Oh, yeah.
We're all very excited about the Mario movie. We've all seen the trailer now because it's come out by the time of the release of this podcast,
Yeah.
but not by the time of recording of this podcast
No.
because it's later on Thursday that the trailer comes
Make
out.
your predictions. Oh, did you see the size of his ass?
It's huge,
Thick.
juicy
So
thing.
juicy,
I loved
juicy.
his voice. It's
Yeah.
me, Mario. It was good, wasn't it?
That's Mickey
So
Mouse.
cool. He's so cool. But I actually have the plot synopsis for the Mario movie
Oh my god.
right here. Are you ready to hear it?
Yeah, I'm so ready.
Mario Lopez, born October the 10th, 1973, is an American actor and television host. He has appeared on several television series, in films, and on Broadway. He is known for his portrayal of A.C. Slater on Saved by the Bell, Saved by the Bell to College Years, and the 2020 sequel series. He has appeared in numerous projects since, including the third season of Dancing with the Stars, and as a host for the syndicated entertainment news magazine Shows Extra and Access Hollywood. He has also hosted America's Best Dance Crew for MTV. In 2012, he co-hosted the second season of the American version of The X Factor with Khloe Kardashian, and was the sole host for the third and final season. Mario movie, coming soon.
Mario Lopez.
Yeah.
I like that because on Ben's thing, you could just see all the links from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I tried to
Well, that's it. I copied it from the
ad
Wikipedia
read.
for the
Yeah.
for the Mario movie.
Yeah.
So the Mario movie,
Stars Mario
It's
Lopez.
about him.
it's
Is
about
it?
Mario Lopez, yeah.
Right.
And it's coming in October the
I didn't-
10th,
Where does Bowser
1973.
fit in?
Oh, this is a different. This is a different Mario movie.
I was going to say, I didn't see
Oh.
him
Oh, are
in
you
the trailer.
looking forward to the video game
Yeah,
one?
the one
Yeah.
with the red hat.
Oh,
Because
man.
this is a video game podcast, so I just context clues led me to
Right.
believe.
Well, see, I got an email saying ad read for Mario movie, and I was
Right.
like, yeah, absolutely.
right.
But this is
it's a biopic, is it?
this
on
is a
Mario
biopic
Lopez?
about Mario Lopez, which is a
Ah.
different. That's a different thing.
Do you know
Oh.
who? Do you know what it looks like?
What more
Mario,
Mario
you know
Lopez?
who Mario Lopez is?
Do I know who he
Yeah,
is?
in real
Yeah,
life.
I think so. I've seen the KFC movie. He was in that.
Oh, is it that guy? Is
Yeah.
It? Oh.
He played Harlan Sanders in the KFC
I know.
movie.
Why did you ask if he knows what he
Because
looks
I was like, I don't know if you just googled famous men.
No,
called
Mario Lopez.
and
He's got a rockin' bod, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Mario in the video game Mario
movie,
movie trailer.
Absolutely, which
Yeah.
we've all seen
Mm.
at the time. No, this isn't, unfortunately. The Mario Lopez
Oh.
movie is not. It's not real, but hopefully soon,
Hopefully.
because our king needs a throne. I don't know what I'm saying.
Why are we not talking about Mario Lopez enough?
Well, exactly.
Hey, world. Have you heard of Mario Lopez?
How can a man portray AC Slater on Saved by the Bell
3 different times.
on 3 occasions and then play Harlan Sanders in the Lifetime mini movie KFC Recipe for Seduction?
Yeah.
And we are not talking, and we still do not talk about him as much as Chris Pratt, who is admittedly very cool, or the little round Mario who jumps.
Yeah.
You know, what's that about?
I
Yeah.
don't know. I
I'm
don't know, Ben.
disgusted.
Such a good point.
That is real. That anger is real, but the sponsor is pretend. It's not true.
The real
unfortunately.
question is when the Luigi Lopez movie is going to
Yeah.
come out.
I can't wait. If Mario Lopez doesn't have a brother called Luigi Lopez, and if no one's done that joke yet, please Photoshop Mario Lopez into green overalls and do it. You have our permission. No, of course, we're sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump, where for as little as $1 per month, you can submit questions to this podcast. And there's loads of other tiers available. Please do consider going and supporting us. Those of you who do, we love you. Thank you very much for your generosity. Couple of things before
Yeah.
you hop into the first question there, Pete. Peter.
You better calm down,
You
Austin.
so excited.
slow your bloody roll there. We are hiring still
Yes.
for this full-time staff writer job, triplejU.mp. Go there, scroll down, click on the careers thing and check it out. It's available until the 24th of October, I want to say. So go apply if you're interested in working with us.
With a week's grace period afterwards to let us look through everything and reply.
Absolutely.
So please don't message us on the 25th and say, why haven't you replied to me?
Also, next week on the podcast, we'll talk about it in a bit more detail, but just a heads up that the Tat Appeal will be opening
It's imminent.
very soon.
So you can start preparing now. if
Very,
you
very
want.
soon. Send us your tat, your worst games, your weirdest games, whatever you want. We'll happily take it. Question 1, Peter.
Question 1 comes from Nikki P, who says, hi, BAP. Loads of eyes on there.
Hi, Nikki P.
I've been playing some Yakuza recently and love the kooky side stories. I think you mean Like a Dragon.
And it's also Biscuit.
What?
Biscuit
It's not kooky.
side stories.
Like Cookie.
Cook. Oh, yes.
Get it?
I
Oh, man,
love
it's-
the cookie
it's-
side stories.
You've got to wake up pretty early in the morning to
keep up with you.
understand what the hell I'm talking about.
It's also someone whose partner goes off and like sleeps with someone else and like knowingly
They like
cookie
cooking them.
side stories.
Right.
They are pretty irreverent and mostly funny, e.g., battling a Yakuza boss or a Like a Dragon, the dragon boss, who has a penchant/thang for adult nappies.
Yes, that is a good bit.
What are your favourite laugh out loud funny games? Love your work.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Nikki P.
We got through it through no fault of your own. I've got some intentionally funny things and some unintentionally funny games. But I definitely feel like I think one of my answers is up there in the top, 3 or whatever of my funniest moments. My other one's not really. And then I'm sure there are like loads of other funny things that I just can't think of. When we get these questions and we're like, oh yeah, all those funny moments from video games, and then you're like,
Your mind's blank.
Yeah. What games have I ever played in my whole life?
what have I even played? But I do think one of the funniest games or series I've ever played is Portal. I think
Yes.
Portal 1, Portal 2 are both very funny games. Portal 1, manages to carry itself with just one person speaking. It's just monologue basically all the way through, and that's a really funny game. Portal 2, probably even funnier, with you've got your Wheatleys and your GLaDOSes, but also Cave Johnson as well. Very funny character. I also think Time Splitters Future Perfect is a pretty funny game at times. Some of the jokes are a bit kind of dumb now. And also inappropriate.
Yes, they have aged somewhat.
I got that from your laugh, but yeah, no, that too. Some of the jokes have aged badly. I've just thought of another one actually. Thinking of Cave Johnson reminds me of Bruce Campbell in the Spider-Man games, who does like the tutorial stuff, and he's just kind of a funny character. Enjoyed that. In terms of unintentionally funny, I think it's unintentional. Is your Dark Pictures et al.
Yeah.
Your kind of
Strange Faces.
Yeah, weird characters doing stupid things. Wells Interactive as well.
Oh yes.
Wells Interactive games.
All that kind of
They're
stuff.
so funny.
So the sort of collection of narrative, silly, strange character video games are all very unintentionally funny.
That reminded me of that moment in the Fast and Furious Worst Games live that we did, where that bus came out of nowhere and just exploded everything on the screen, and we all
bus
just
is going a bit fast, isn't it?
We all just disintegrated. That's a funny game, unintentionally so. Portal 1 and 2 is again very funny, but also Borderlands 2 is a funny game. I think sometimes you look back on the jokes and you're like, why was that so funny at the time? But it just
because it was one of the only games doing it at the time.
Yeah.
Really.
But I really liked Borderlands 2. And then unintentionally funny, and I will talk about this more in the next segment that's brand new, Saints Row. I think that game's hilarious. I've laughed so much playing it this week.
The new one? Not in the places that they wanted to.
Yeah. Wow. I can't wait to talk about it.
Oh, wow.
I can't wait to hear about it.
That game's hilarious.
It is, isn't it? Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
I had the best glitch I've ever had in any game in that game with the final boss. Posted it on Twitter.
Yeah, that's funny.
Where he just dislocates his entire upper torso and just
Spins
spirals around.
That was great.
It's amazing. It's unbelievable. Is that your?
Those are mine.
I've only got the one that I've jotted down here, but I agree with all the ones that you guys have said. The Guardians of the Galaxy game obviously struck a chord with me as a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan. But there were several moments in that game that genuinely made me laugh. But the one that springs to mind, and I only got it on my second playthrough when I was doing collectibles, because I think depending on a choice you make, certain scenes play out differently depending on choices you make. They branch, not in any meaningful way, but you just see different parts of the game basically depending on what you choose. And one of them was you've all been locked in your quarters, and it's a bird's eye view of the ship, and there's a space llama that you're trying to sort of coax to, because it keeps chewing up the ship. You're trying to coax it into chewing through some door controls or something, some wires, and it really likes. I can't remember. Is it Bobby McFerrin? Here's a little song I wrote. Might want to sing it. Don't worry, be happy. That's what it is. I'm not sure if it's Bobby McFerrin, but anyway. It's its favorite song, so you're pressing the face buttons to get the different members of the team to sing it, to try and coax it round, but it doesn't like some of their singing voices, so it pushes them away. So it becomes this infuriating game, and they're all voice acted excellently, just sort of losing the will to live as they're trying to sing Bobby McFerrin at this space llama to try and get it to come closer. Right. I really enjoyed that. It's so silly, but there's just moments of levity in games are important.
Yeah, I've just thought of one actually that the game itself wasn't funny necessarily through and through, but in terms of being taken by surprise, particularly in the way the joke was presented, was that in the Battlefront 2 campaign, you go to Cloud City or somewhere on that planet on Bespin, and earlier on in the level, someone's just taken the mick out of cloud cars, they're called, which are sort of the meet equivalent of spaceships, like just stupid little things. And then way later on, you're trying to escape this this facility's blowing up, and it's like this Imperial thing, and you're running along through the hangar, and there's all these TIE fighters that you're running towards, and every time you get to one, it takes off. You're trying to find a ride out of there, and all the pilots are leaving. You're like, oh god. and your objective is saying like find a TIE fighter, and then eventually you're running along and all that's left at the end of this corridor is a cloud car, and the objective changes to settle for the cloud car, which is pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. It was Bobby McFerrin.
Oh,
who sang
very
that
good.
song, so we're there. It's time for a section we've never done before, Ashton.
It is. Brand new section. Just for me, so I can talk about Saints Row. It's What We Playin'.
Oh.
It's What We Playin' time. Time to talk about what video games we've been playing. Peter, what have you been playing?
Well, I've finished Stray, or Stray 2.
Stray.
I'm
yeah.
serious about this. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I particularly liked it the more it went on because there was a bit more of the kind of the action running away from hordes of little critters and scary
Drones.
sentinel drone things, and all that kind of stuff. I did enjoy the platforming and the more sort of chilled out bit at the start, but and I think that's what I kind of expected from the game as well. I thought it would be a fairly low energy game, but then the more of that kind of stuff I was doing, I was like, oh wow, I wish there'd been kind of more of this all the way through, to be honest. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Very atmospheric, really nicely crafted world. I don't think I was actually that invested in the story. Like, I enjoyed it, and I thought, okay, that's cool. Like, now that I found out what's happened, and I thought the twist was quite good. Didn't really see that coming necessarily, but I mean, I wasn't like, it didn't really grab me. I don't think I cared much about all the robots. I didn't feel like, I must do something for all these guys. But it was interesting. It was kind of a unique world and stuff. So
I only
that was
cared
good.
about B12. And
Yeah.
B12 was like, I'm going to do this. And I was like, okay, B12, we'll
Yeah.
do it. Let's go, bestie.
I didn't cry at the end. I know that your Ben did.
My friend did both times he
Yeah.
finished the game.
But it was a nice and, bittersweet ending. It was good. I wonder if they might do some kind of sequel, possibly.
They've left it open
Yeah.
if they wanted to do
Could
it.
do. I have finished Little Orpheus and was tempted at home, because I played it at home as well as on stream. I was tempted to try the extra chapter, because when I say finished, I finished on stream up to that point.
Yeah.
It was then 7 p.m. and I was like, even if it wasn't 7 p.m., I've been warned that this is a massive difficulty spike.
Yes.
But then when I was playing at home, I was like, do I? Because I've seen some images from it, and it's got like airships and stuff in it. It looks quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
But so I might still give that a go at some point this weekend. I don't know.
You finished the core story. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I enjoyed that as well. That didn't really go exactly where I thought it would story wise. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I could tell that the story being told was definitely sort of fictional, and he was just making holes in his own story all the way through.
Yeah.
But I mean, I won't say for anyone who's deliberately avoided the stream and stuff, but yeah.
I would have liked it to be some grand reveal at the end.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, right, okay. And then what they do after that moment where you're like, oh, right, is almost even stranger. Like the motivations of, another character. I was kind of surprised that he didn't just flip the table and say, well, F you then. But it was interesting.
All very positive, isn't it?
Yeah, I did.
It's just kind of nice.
Yeah, it was very nice. And it was, I liked all the silly kind of different areas that were all like heavily themed and kind of like, here's the desert area, here's the ice area. And I thought that kind of worked in a way that worked really well with the whole idea that this guy was potentially just kind of coming up with stuff off the top of his head.
Yeah.
So that was good. I realized this week that very quietly, Dark Alliance 2 was remastered. I was trying to think if it was remade or remastered. I think they're both so Baldur's Gate, I'm talking about here. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 1 was remastered, I think, end of last year or very early this year, and I played that through. And then the developer were tweeting about like, oh, we might do the sequel, maybe. And I followed them on Twitter just to see if they did it. And I guess the algorithm just doesn't show me any of their tweets because they very, very quietly released the second one as well. So I've downloaded that and started playing it. That's very much just a game that I think if you played it back in the day, you might enjoy revisiting. It's not going to like knock anyone's socks off if they've not played it like at all. But so I've started that now as well. So yes, I think that's everything. I feel like it might be something else as well. But yeah, there we go. That's all I can think of.
I have played a lot of Disney Dreamlight Valley this week. I have leveled to 10, which is the max level. All of the characters that are currently available in the game. And I'm just trying to finish off all of their quests. And then I will put the game down and probably never play it again. But for now, I'm having a good time. And then I have played in co-op campaign mode Saints Row.
How is the co-op? Because I've not tried the co-op.
Boy, it's broken.
Excellent.
I love it.
Excellent.
It's got this one mechanic where you can like prank each other. So if you do like little mini missions, you can like prank the other player.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are like you'll just start like spewing money out from like just all around you all the time that obstructs your vision. Sometimes it just make your screen blurry. One time in the middle of a mission, it turned me into a bin. Like my whole character model just changed into a bin. And I was like, what's going on? Why is this happening? What weird bug? Am I Ben? Why am I a bin? And then he chuckled away to himself because I just thought, oh my God, what a weird bug. I've turned into a bin. But no, it turns out it was a prank. So I was just a prank. I was a bin for a minute.
Cool. I like that.
But my God, this game is broken. The amount of times that we've just had just weird, ridiculous bugs. There was one point I had to turn the game off because I wasn't allowed to get in my car. Like I would just sit on the floor and the car would drive off. Like I would drive the car off. And then if I got out of the car, I would just go back to where I'd got in the car because I was still technically sat on the floor. And it was every single car I tried to get in. I couldn't do that. And then there's this thing where if you're in co-op, you can like ride on top of someone else's car. And if you're doing that, you can like jump off and launch yourself into the wingsuit, which is what you can do like normally. But Ben did that. And then for the rest of the game, his character model was just flying along the ground for me, like as if he was still in the wingsuit. And then whenever he got on top of the car, it was just constantly said that he's jumping off, but he wasn't. Like he was just constantly bouncing around. To be fair, the co-op mode is implemented well. Like there's normally like 2 of everything. So if it gives you a special gun, it'll give you 2 guns so you both can play it. It's done better than Far Cry 6, where you can obviously do co-op campaign because it actually carries over to both your playthroughs. So if he carried on, he'd still be able to go and get stuff. We found an ice cream apparel shop. So we've been walking around with like an ice cream hat on each, just hanging out. But at one point, he got stuck in a golf cart in one of the missions. Like he just couldn't get out of the golf cart. And then because he couldn't get out of the golf cart, it kept telling him to get back into the area. And he was like, I'm stuck in a golf cart that will not stop driving. I am stuck. So we basically just stopped playing the game because it wasn't working. So we had to restart the whole mission. But yeah, this game is so janky. I don't know how they've gotten away with this. Like the more I play it, I'm like,
they haven't gotten away with it though, have they?
Well, no,
it's not sold very well. It's not reviewed well.
But no one's like really talking about it
because no one bought it.
Because no one bought it.
Because we're the only people in the world who are playing it.
I'm enjoying playing it, but just because I'm like, what's going to happen today? Can't wait to find out.
That's how I was with Far Cry 6.
Yeah, but the co-op mode in it is so broken. It's fantastic. I love it. I've like actually viscerally laughed out loud multiple times playing this game just from like random stuff that happens. Like we don't care about any of the characters. We couldn't care less. Every time that one guy comes on, Ben goes, put a shirt on, like constantly shouts at him. The cat's the best character in the game. But hey, man, that game's good because it's just so broken. Yeah, it's great.
It's more than well-trodden ground at this point that But it's kind of amazing that we are at a position, we're in a place where games like that can be released and that's fine because they can be patched compared to a couple of generations ago where the game had to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing really that this is where we're at now.
Yep.
That something like that can be released, you can exchange actual money for it and you can't actually be that annoyed about it.
No. But
relatively speaking.
Man, I love it. It's terrible.
What does it do in co-op in cutscenes and stuff? Does it just show
just our character? Yeah, whoever's character's there. So for him, it must be his character. For me, it's my character.
Right.
Though it keeps swapping our voices around. So I keep coming out of cutscenes with a male voice. And I'm like, why's our character man? And then he says, why should, and then like a couple minutes later, I changed it back and he's like, why's your character got a man voice? And I'm like, I don't know. And then he'll have a girl
Excellent.
voice, and we don't know why. It's
Brilliant.
ridiculous. I love
So
it.
good.
What have you been playing, Ben?
I finished off Gears of War 3 in co-op, and I really enjoyed that. So that's that trilogy put to bed. I know there's Judgment and 5 and 6, but I think I'm going to get to those another time. Maybe when they announce 7, whenever that might be, because I don't think the Coalition has been... Coalition's done a couple of things since 6, but I don't know if we know what they're working on now. So I would presume that it's the new Gears of War. But I tell you what, it was a real throwback to the kinds of games that were produced at that time and the kinds of games that I've recently on the podcast been lamenting the lack of, where it's sort of, you're in this area. Yeah, it's pretty much a shooting gallery. It is a shooter. That's half the point. But you are relatively linearly funneled through an experience that lasts anywhere from 10 to 15 hours. And that's great. I really like that.
Yeah.
That's such a breath of fresh air compared to all of the open world games that release now, all of them unrelenting. So Gears of War 3, thumbs up. I enjoyed it. I think it was probably my favorite of the trilogy that I played. And I've also been playing more Forbidden West as well, forging ahead with that. It's difficult to talk about it without kind of spoiling literally everything about it. So I'll just say that I am enjoying it, and I've gone into the compatibility settings and disabled the animation for when Aloy picks up something off the ground. So now I can just run through the world and mash triangle and pick up all the stuff, and she just picks it, like it just goes into her inventory without her having to stop and pick it up and then carry on moving. So that saved me a lot of time. Was also stupidly playing in resolution mode rather than performance mode. So I set that to 60 FPS, and my God, what a difference that made. It looks so much better now, despite the apparent drop in fidelity. The fact that it's running so smooth makes it look so much better. I don't know how far through the story I am, but I really am hauling ass.
Have you met the Tanakh? Have you gone to their main tribe yet?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, done that.
You met the chief?
Yeah, done that. That was ages ago.
And
Ancient history.
Have you gone to the snowy place with the one-armed man?
Yeah,
Yeah?
done that.
Knocked the wall down?
Yeah, done that. I'm going to I'm going to the big San Fran bridge now.
Oh, yeah.
Golden Gate.
So yeah, it's San Fran Bridge.
San Fran Bridge,
San Fran
Bridgestone.
Bridge.
The big
Yeah.
San Fran Bridge. So that's, if anyone who's played the game, that's roughly where I am. I think everybody knows that San Francisco is in the game because it's in all the art. So that's where I am. I've not really been doing any side stuff, but I am enjoying it, and I look forward to playing it for more than half an hour a night. Which
Are
is
you
what I'm
now,
doing at the
sorry,
moment.
are you now trying to cross the water?
Haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
I've literally just arrived at a settlement where people are,
Cool.
and that's where I am. But I am enjoying it. Looking forward to playing the rest. And then, God, it'll be time for Batman, won't it? Or not Batman.
Not Batman.
Arkham Knights.
Did you see a clip? I saw a clip from that this morning where someone got early access and they uploaded a clip, and it was of Batgirl fighting, and it was playing I Need a Hero, but it wasn't the actual version. It was like a re-release of like a cover of it. And every time I was like, oh, this is where the song gets going, it didn't. And I was like, huh? And the person who uploaded it was like, this is up there with the most random things that's ever happened in a video game. Like, it just started in the middle of like a fight, and she was like,
That's so strange. Is it like a Sackboy's Big Adventure where the music is timed to loop and loop and loop until you hit a certain thing, so that
Maybe.
it ends on a crescendo?
but it was a really kind of awful cover of the.
Oh,
I'll see if
so-
I can find it and send it to you on.
Yeah, please do.
Slack,
I'm
but-
I'm optimistic for that
I
game,
am
but
too.
we'll see how that. We will see.
We will.
Yeah.
We will see. It's time for question 2.
It is. This comes from Rock Reese. Hi, Bap. I got a question. You've all said before that you wouldn't play fighting or many online multiplayer games for a prolonged amount of time because you don't like being bad at them. I'm just curious, what is it that puts you off these games the most? Is it the time you need to get good, or mechanically it's just frustrating to play for you? Thanks, Rock Reese.
Thank you, Rob Reese.
Thank you, Rock Reese. For me, it's both or either, depending on it's case by case. Because for me, I think the fighting game thing is more of that's kind of from you, isn't it, Ben? You're not so.
No,
keen on your fighting
sorry.
games.
Yes, you grew up playing Tekken. and
Yeah,
stuff.
I played a lot of Tekken. I played some Soul Calibur as well, which I really like. But there are some fighting games, like Mortal Kombat, that I really hate playing. And that's probably where I immediately just fall back into exactly the same position you are, even though there are some fighting games that I do like. And that is, for me, that's more of a mechanical thing. And it's probably made worse, actually, by the fact that I do have this kind of muscle memory or this instinct to play a fighting game a certain way, having played a lot of Tekken and Soul Calibur, which is very similar in terms of control scheme. So as soon as I pick up Mortal Kombat, I'm pressing buttons that I think are mapped to my right fist or my left leg or whatever, and they're just sort of blocking or doing weird stuff. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not what I'm thinking at all. So I can't play those games specifically because I'm trying to play another game as soon as I pick up a controller. So I find that frustrating about the fighting games that I'm not into. But in terms of just multiplayer games in general online, that's the other way for me. That's the time it takes to get good, as Rock Reese says. So I understand how mechanically to play Call of Duty or something like that, but the time it would take me to get good at those games, it's like a double whammy, really, because not only would it just take me that long to get good just playing against bots or something, but then on top of that, you don't even have the time alive on the battlefield to get good because you're constantly being killed by teenagers from America, which is, hey, I mean, hats off to them for being good at the game, but some like tighter matchmaking would be really good on games like that. That's why I sort of stopped playing shooter games in particular, because I felt like even though I was seemingly being put in matches with people who were like leveled with me numerically similarly, they were still a lot better than I was, and maybe they'd only just bought the game or something, but they'd been playing Call of Duty for generations, and you just don't spend enough time alive. So it would be nice to be put in a match with just loads of
noobs,
me's and Bens, and Ashtons.
Yeah, I'm also bad at them.
Yeah,
I'm not really. That's the thing. I just hate that frustration of being like, oh my, like in a game and just being constantly killed and being like, how am I supposed to do anything? Like, I don't know. I can't get good because I'm simply constantly dying. Like, there's nothing I can do. I'm also not really drawn to games that are like sans story / like actual quests and things to do. I just don't have the brain capacity to be like, now you're free. Do what you want. Go and figure it out. Go and shoot some people or do it in the multiplayer, or fight that guy in that thing and get a score of this. I'm like, that's not interesting to me at all. Like, there's just no like draw for me there. So I just don't I don't find myself kind of being inclined to pick that up over other games. This week MB asked me if I wanted to play Overwatch 2, and I said no, I don't, because everyone from Overwatch 1 who's been playing it for 5 years, if not more, they're going to all be in Overwatch 2 now because they can't play Overwatch 1 anymore. And people like me, little babies like me, are going to get killed over and over again and have no idea what's going on. So, no, actually, I'm all right. I think it's that window of like, if you play a game when it first comes out and you play it from then on, a multiplayer game, you'll be good at it. If you haven't picked it up within the first like month and you just jump into it like 3 months down the line, that's it. You can't catch up.
That's a case in point. I was going to say that, if you booted up Overwatch 2 now, you would potentially be put in matches with people who have maybe only just started playing it, so they're technically low level. Yeah. But because they've been playing Overwatch for years and years, then they're going to be really good at it. So yeah.
Yeah, but they have to have a mobile phone contract, otherwise they can't play Overwatch 2. Have you seen that?
What? No,
really.
Blizzard have made it so you can only play Overwatch 2 if you have a phone contract like a contracted number, so you can't have like a pay-as-you-go phone. That they won't allow them. I don't know if it's just in America, but I've seen a lot of posts on Reddit being like, I feel like I'm too poor to play Overwatch 2 now because my phone contract is this like cheap one and I can't afford a better one and I can't play Overwatch 2.
I've seen there's been all sorts of, there's been a real flip storm about Overwatch recently on social media, but I've not really looked into exactly what. I've just seen memes about people being annoyed at Blizzard, and I don't know why.
It's just one thing after another with Overwatch, isn't it?
I mean, Overwatch it launched and so many people were trying to play it. They didn't have enough room in the server, so people couldn't play it.
When they also had a DDoS attack too.
And they did have a DDoS attack as well.
The server's down.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
A complete disaster. I really like multiplayer games. I just don't really want to play them anymore. The only I grew up playing so many multiplayer games with the advent of console online anyway. But the difference maker is between then and now is that I would quite happily play by myself online before, whereas now, if I'm going to play anything PvP, I need to have friends there, because otherwise I just think I would rather be doing literally anything else than
Being shouted
playing.
at.
Yeah, being shouted at. Well, I know. Here's the thing: we stereotype, and I know you can mute people, and you can, you don't necessarily always get killed by 12-year-olds in America, but it does happen. I played an awful lot of Warzone and various other online games during lockdown just because it was a social thing to do. Now, though, it's gonna take a lot to persuade me to get back onto Warzone or anything like that, just because I would never play those games without my friends being online as well. It was more the social activity than it was the playing of the game.
Yeah.
And so now that my gaming time is more limited again because I'm going places and doing things, when faced with the option of playing a rich narrative game that's really engrossing, or playing an online game either with my friends or alone, I would much rather actually just play the single player game, because I find that more rewarding personally than the online game. And when it comes to fighting games in particular, I'm just not very good at them, and the amount of time it would take for me to get good would be a serious time investment, and it would boil down to essentially me getting home from work and then the free time that I do have to play games, sitting there and practicing with a character or playing online against strangers, to realistically get to the point where my skill ceiling is probably going to be maybe standing a chance to beat my friends who don't know how to play the game.
Yeah.
When the other people because I feel like the real skill ceiling for fighting games is winning major tournaments and getting a lot of money. And so I suppose in my head, fighting games are sort of a means to, be a professional gamer, so to speak, like esports and so on and so forth. And I'm like, that's just not where I want to dedicate my gaming time to. I wouldn't say I'm the type of games that I prefer to play. Say I'm playing Horizon at the moment. I wouldn't say that I'm good at Horizon. I'm just playing it. And that is kind of what I want from a game. I don't necessarily want to play a game so much that I would be classified as really, really good at Uncharted. It's kind of just a completely different sphere of gaming. And so I will play online games every now and again, but I'd much prefer PV. Am I talking about like co-op games rather than sort of PvP or PvE games? Just because it's just not how I'd rather spend my time. I want to get something out of my games beyond the thrill of victory or the risk of devastating defeat.
I agree with that. Even with games that I am, better at. Like I grew up playing Tekken, but I hardly ever played against anyone. That was just me wanting to go through the game and unlock all the endings and all the modes, and unlock Tekken bowling and stuff like that. So even with games in that category that I personally have gotten better at, it's never really been with a view to be good. It's just incidental that I've thought I want to play through this game and unlock everything and complete it. And over time I've just learned things. So I'm with you there.
Tekken bowling's great though.
Yeah.
Love Tekken bowling.
And volleyball.
Yes. It's time for something a bit strange, Peter.
Yeah, isn't it, Ash?
A bit odd.
Yeah, it is, guys.
Isn't it, Billy?
Billy? It's weird news.
It's weird news time for some weird video game news. Remember, you can submit weird video game news to us on our social media platforms, that being Facebook and Twitter, even though we're on other ones as well, just by responding to the post that goes up earlier in the week. If you absolutely want to guarantee your shout out in this section, you could become a podcast producer. Great. Thank you. By going to patreon.com/Team TripleJump and supporting us at a certain tier. Who have we got this week?
We've got Nathan,
GY Goliath,
Sean Legg,
Walco,
Nicole Hansen,
Ellie Nicholas,
Erica Hutchinson,
Melody El Bonet,
Katie Garrett,
and Gabrielle Philipping.
Thank you so much, podcast producers.
Thank you, podcast producers. Thank you.
We know, we see you, we notice you. There's a lot of the same names every time, and then sometimes new ones, which is equally nice to see.
It's very nice.
Thank you, everyone. I've got some weird news here. I wasn't going to bring this story, but several people sent it to our weird news posts. Several people tagged me in it, and then also several people tagged me in it, not in the weird news posts, but just when it broke a couple of days ago. So I thought I better had. It's not that weird, but it's
I think
news.
I know what it is.
This is this write-up in particular is by Tom Phillips at Eurogamer.net. Beyond Good and Evil 2 overtakes Guinness World Record holder Duke Nukem Forever as game longest in development.
Sore spot.
The subheading is Page Turner, spelled PEY''J, which is the name of the pig uncle.
The punkle.
But why is it
Punkle.
Punkle? Yeah, but why is it a page turner though? Like I get the
Yeah,
pun,
they
but like
just come up with a page-related pun for no.
doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't actually make any sense at all.
It's taking
Because
pages.
we're all on
could
digital
have been
media
good.
now.
Taking pages.
Taking pages.
Yeah.
Or
that's
it's
good.
finally got its own page in the Guinness World Record book.
Yeah.
That could be it actually because it is about a book.
People waiting for the game. You wouldn't do it this wordy, but fans are feeling jaded,
Yeah,
perhaps.
it's beyond.
A
Good.
joke at this point. The long-awaited sequel to Beyond Good and Evil has overtaken Duke Nukem Forever as the game with the longest ever development period. Duke Nukem Forever, which finally released in 2011, previously held the Guinness World Record for the longest development period for a video game project at just over 14 years. But Beyond Good and Evil 2 has now beaten that, as noted on Twitter by GamesIndustry.biz's Brendan Sinclair. Duke Nukem Forever went 5,156 days from its announcement in 1997 to its release in 2011, Sinclair wrote on Twitter over the weekend. It's been 5,234 days since the first Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer was released, he added. That's 5,237 now, says the writer of this article, because it's
And when was
some
this
days
released? Could we
later.
add some more days on?
When was this released?
This article released.
I think that's what they mean. That's 5,237 now.
Oh.
So that
They've
was
got a counter, or is...
the quote ended.
What I'm saying is, when was the article released? Because if this was like 4 days ago, then we'll have to add 4 more on.
Oh, you mean so we can work out what it is today?
Yeah.
And then what is it on Saturday when the
Yeah.
podcast releases?
Well, this was published on the 3rd of October. Today's the 6th.
So 3 days ago.
So at time of recording, it's been 5,240 days. And then how many days?
So 5,442 days on
Yes.
Saturday.
There you go. Sorry, I thought you meant
It's
just
okay.
the article.
Hey, don't worry about it.
Both projects.
Real page turner, am I right, guys?
Very good. Both projects saw work put on hold during their times in development as teams changed and console hardware shifted. There's then the tweet from Brendan Sinclair embedded in the article. Ubisoft first began officially discussing Beyond Good and Evil 2 back in 2008 when a CGI trailer for the project was released, though at the time, series creator Michel Ancel had already been working on the project for at least a year. Work continued on the game over the years, off and on, and Ubisoft repeatedly maintained the project was still in the works to some extent, though it eventually began to be thought of as vaporware. Then, in 2016, Ubisoft publicly recommitted to the project once more with a big E3 announcement and the launch of a series of regular development updates dubbed the Space Monkey Program. But as the years went on, things seemed to go quiet once again.
You know whose fault it is?
Michel Ancel?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes, it is. Hit record.
Do you want to work on the game for free? Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they were trying to outsource development to fans, basically, for a chance at a credit, basically. Were they getting paid?
They got paid as well.
They did get paid.
You got like a split of... It was really weird because so it was this what do you call it? It was like a collaborative thing. So someone could like just write a bass line for a song, and then someone could like play guitar over it. It's a bit like TikTok, basically.
Right, yeah.
But a bit more organized to create music and also art. So you could just like add layers and doodles and stuff on top of other people's stuff. So they came up with all these like in-game art assets and music and stuff. And then when it came to being paid for each project, they would propose, I think Hit Record would propose who gets how much of this amount of money based on how much work they would do. And then there's this period of like, you can like make a case for like, actually I did a bit more than you think I did. And like, then they sort of eventually
Like
come
a
to this
bidding
conclusion.
war.
Yeah, it's almost, it sounded really weird.
Sounds messy.
Yeah.
Unhealthy.
So blah, blah, blah. Still, we know things are continuing. In August this year, narrative designer Sarah Arellano, formerly of Blizzard, announced she joined the project as Beyond Good and Evil 2's new lead writer. And that is the end of the article. But
Wow.
so this is there are some people in the community, Beyond Good and Evil community, who would say this isn't strictly true because when the game was announced in 2016, the developers at the time were saying this is day zero of development. We've not started development. It's not even pre-alpha. This is like we're now in pre-production, and everything that they'd shown before then was for a Beyond Good and Evil 2 game, but that had all been scrapped because that was all clearly going to be a sequel as well, because you could see the characters from the first game were shown in this material that they released, and now they're doing a prequel. So you would get some diehard people in the community saying, technically this is a different game, but it's basically, they've been talking about some kind of follow-up for that long. So it is kind of true in that sense. So there you go. Thanks to everyone who tagged me in that.
One day, Peter, you will get this game.
I might do.
And it's going to be as good.
Oh, it's going to be
as
rubbish.
Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
It is. I know it is. I will still play it, and I'll hopefully at least get something out of the story, if nothing else. And everyone else will play it and say, well, this was rubbish.
So it's been in development for like half of your lifespan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been like, I think, so it's been like what?
Because they said Duke
15,
Nukem was 14 and a half
now?
years.
Yeah.
So it must be about 15 and a bit years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it
What
has
a-
actually.
What
Wow.
a page turner.
Yeah, indeed.
Such a page turner.
Such a page turner.
I have some weird news.
Yeah.
Comes from @Ariel_Kent on Twitter. And it's from Kotaku, written by Isaiah Colbert. Tragic. Nobody can find Mario's arse in our first look at the Nintendo movie. Fans ask
Mario
where...
Lopez?
Yeah, Mario Lopez.
I can guarantee you he's got
them cheeks.
He's got the bunda, yeah.
Fans ask where Nintendo and Illumination hid Mario's dummy thick plumber ass. Thick with 2 C's.
Is the subtitle "What a Blunder"?
No, that's the subtitle.
That's a shame.
It should be though.
What a blunder.
Yeah.
I'm going to
What's
say it
dummy
a third
thick
time.
mean?
Dummy thick.
Like big, juicy, like bunda.
Just not familiar.
that one. I'm
Oh,
familiar with that one.
I can work
He's-
out what it
he's
means.
dummy
But
thick.
dummy particular. I
It's
know
like thick,
obviously what
thick with 2 C's.
Yeah.
It reminds me. Yeah, I've only ever heard of it through
Yeah,
memes.
dummy.
I know thick, but I don't know
Yeah.
dummy.
Dummy thick. Yeah.
I think it's meant to be like, it's so stupid how big your ass is, kind of vibes.
You're making me crazy.
Yeah.
How thick your bunda
Yeah,
be.
exactly.
Great.
Anyway, yesterday, Nintendo revealed a first look at the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Ahead of its official trailer. Oh, there's a full stop there that threw me off. Movie ahead of its official trailer release coming today at time of recording at New York Comic Con, which I didn't realize it was coming at Comic Con.
As it was coming
No.
home.
And it's glorious, save for the disenchanting washboard ass of our titular Mario.
Washboard ass.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
not actually a
rude.
phrase. It's washboard abs and ass. Dummy thick ass, if we want to get
Dummy
crazy.
thick abs.
Nintendo teaser image prominently features a gaggle of toads going about their business in the town set in town square, while one toad carrying a Captain Toad-like assortment of gear on his back glances towards Mario. Mario, in turn, is doing his best Cloud Strife Shinra factory pose as he looks up at what can only be presumed to be Princess Peach's castle.
I thought Toad was the name of one mushroom man. They're not all toads.
Yeah,
are
well,
they?
Captain Toad is one of the characters, and then
Right.
they are Toad and Toadette.
Is that the name of the species? They're all toads.
They
must
Little
be,
mushroom
'cause-
people.
They're toads,
Unless
I
they're just
believe.
this happens to be one family of Toad and his wife Toadette and his uncle
So
Captain
they're all
Toad.
toads. Yeah. They're all the part of family Toad.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
They
the
must
Bagginses.
be. Yeah, Toads is the plural apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The character models look really nice and designed for Mushroom Kingdom. Cityscape looks as crisp as any cutscene in a contemporary Mario game. While most normal internet folks remarked on how good the setting looked, the undeniable cuteness of its denizens, one subset of gamers took umbrage with the animation studio Illumination's depiction of Mario. As you can surmise from the headline, their gripes weren't about his inaccurate thread count of Mario's overalls or why his wisps of hair lay under his hat. Instead, fans claim Mario was looking mad unfamiliar because a tunnel-hopping plumber wasn't double-cheeked up. Let me read that sentence again.
They are. The species is toad.
Instead, Fans claimed Mario was looking mad unfamiliar because the tunnel hopping plumber wasn't double cheeked up.
Yeah, cool.
Just to get that one there. Turns out while we were worried about the Italian erasure with the casting of Crisp Rat.
Whoa.
Crisp Rat.
Rude.
Crisp Rat is how it's
Crisp
spelled.
Rat,
It. Yeah.
Delicious.
We should have been concerned about the shaped lines of Mario's arse. How could we have been so foolish? And then there's a couple of tweets of someone saying, "Give the plumber his cake." With a generous edition of Mario with a BBL. "This is unacceptable. They took his arse. He can't flip," wrote another devastated Twitter user. "Bro, Mario got no ass. Bro, this movie's gonna suck. How TF am I supposed to enjoy this movie if Mario ain't got a couple mega mushrooms down there?" Well said, one fan with a key eye for units of measurement. And then they just say, "Mario is a man, a plumber, blah, blah. He has no ass."
Excellent.
And someone in the comments, the only comment from staff in the section just says, "They nerfed this man's ass."
Wow.
So I'm excited for the trailer. See if he got them cheeks.
Them
Double cheeks.
Them double mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yummy thick.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Why is modern? I mean, we're all complicit in this because we were having the same conversation on Slack yesterday. So
Ben edited his own picture, and
Yeah.
Peter sent a tweet that was like with
an edited
edited
picture.
bug. And then Ben said, "I've just been sat here doing this," and just sent it to the
Yeah,
group
like
chat.
completely separated from all the
I saw
conversation.
several on Twitter. That was
I
just,
didn't see
Yeah.
a single one. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I made his ass really big? And I edited the picture. I've not tweeted it now. But if you want to see it, you can tweet me and ask, and I'll send it to you, just to you directly.
But so we're all complicit. But why is everyone so horny now? Or I mean, it's not necessarily horny, but it's why does everyone want to see every character, essentially a children's character, with a massive ass,
They're not sincere.
including us?
They're not. It's not
They
sincere.
don't want to see. No, I know, but
It's just funny.
It's
It's
just
just funny.
why I don't understand why that is a
It's
meme.
ironic sexuality.
Yeah, I know
and
it
I'm
is.
here for it until it makes me uncomfortable, and then I'm not here for
You
it.
name it, whatever video game movies come out in the next few years, this same story will happen.
Well,
And,
Jack wants the
Where's
spider
Lilith's
lady from
fat
James and the
ass?
Giant Peach to step on him with all 8 legs.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
He's
So,
what a weird guy.
But they could make a Bowser spin-off or something, and people will say, well, I guess we'll already seen him in the movie. But you name it. Tails. Why isn't Tails thick in the Sonic movie?
I can't wait till
Dunno.
they have to Sonic the Mario movie and re-edit it so that his. Have you seen the picture of his face? Because his face looked a bit weird in that one picture. But we don't know if it's real
it
or
does
not.
look a bit strange.
And also, they're going to have to make
The
his
McDonald's
ass
league.
bigger. Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait for the trailer
We're
and
going to the
everyone's
cinema.
reactions
We all
to
going
it.
to the cinema to see
April
it?
7th. Let's
Could
all
do,
go to the
yeah.
cinema.
Could
Can't
do.
wait.
You'll be there, Austin.
I wanna go to
suppose
the
a
premiere.
regular. Although I'm cynical saying, it happens with everything. It didn't actually happen with Sonic. People complained
just-
about it. I
they're
guess
too
they were
busy looking at his face.
too worried about his face that, he
Yeah.
didn't have time to say, well, I haven't even a massive ass. But
Ugly face, good body,
Mhm.
Sonic.
yeah, mark my words. The next Godzilla movie, people will be saying, hey, come on, give us the big,
Why isn't he thick?
yeah.
Lizard ass.
My weird news is from Connor Bennett
Mm-hmm.
at cbennett_12. And this is from IGN, written by Ryan Dinsdale. An Elden Ring streamer has managed to defeat the game's toughest boss, Millennia.
Does that
Melania.
Melania, that's it. I completely forgot how to pronounce it then. I just had a complete crisis because there are so many games. There's so many names. Oh, Jesus.
Are you okay?
No, honestly, I was sat at my PC earlier and things were going in and out of focus. So I don't think things are going well today.
Oh boy.
There are several names of characters that sound like Melania, Melania, Millennial, all of it. They're the same. Anyway, Melania, Blade of Michaela, using a dance mat at level 1. That's the boss has been beaten that way. Twitch user Miss Mika captured the feat on stream and shared it on Twitter below, showing off the incredibly impressive accomplishment that took exactly 553 tries across more than 15 hours. Using her feet to control everything from the direction of movement to sword swinging and the use of items, Miss Mika was also only hit a handful of times on the final attempt, pointing out that she only used 4 healing flasks during the fight.
I watched this video and it was very impressive.
I saw a little
It's
clip
crazy.
of it on Twitter. Yeah.
I'm not gonna read the rest of the article, but that boss, that was the hardest boss I fought in my playthrough, and I needed to summon in assistance.
And you were using
for
your
it.
hands.
I was using my hands, and I was not at level 1 either,
Mm.
with no health bar or whatever. That is just
That
it's
is
just
crazy.
insane. And I am glad that these things remain sort of feats of personal and internet achievement rather than some sort of at the core of the experience, as I was talking about earlier in terms of the multiplayer games.
One of the gold trophies.
Yeah.
Defeat the boss at level 1.
Using a dance mat.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it's cool that people do this, but to me, that's what
Don't make
getting
me
good
do
at
this.
fighting games is like.
Yeah.
Beating a From Software boss at level 1 using a dance mat. Like, that's cool that you could do that, but not for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I just sort of wonder, I guess just the sense of achievement when you finally do it must be such a rush, but
The internet clout.
the thought, yeah, and the internet clout, but the thought of just fighting the same boss for 15 hours under those conditions just sounds absolutely
Yeah.
maddening.
But when you do it, there's a financial gain as well. The
true.
exposure and the Twitter subs and all.
It's
But
true.
then how do you top that? What
Yeah,
do you do
what
next?
do you do next?
That's true.
That's the peak. I don't know what else you would do.
Defeat the boss without using a controller at all.
Blindfolded.
Yeah, with your
Yeah.
eyes
Yeah.
on a screen.
Just will it into existence. Well, it's time for something rather large. It is called...
No,
no, it's not.
No.
You-
Oh, God, it's not, is it? Bloody hell. It's already an hour. We're an hour in.
No, I felt that
Jesus.
when question 2 came around. I thought
Okay.
it was weird news time.
It's time for question 3. Bloody hell. Sorry.
From Liam Montevali, who says, "Hello, Bap."
Montevalley.
Motor Valley. There's
Sorry,
no N in
there's
there.
no N. Montevalley, who says, "Hello, Bap. Long time, first time.
Long time listener, first time question asker.
Yeah.
Right.
You not heard long time, first time?
Not abbreviated like that. I've heard long
Oh.
time listener, first time. Yeah, okay. Hello, Bap. Long time, first time, except not really. With CD Projekt Red tweeting about the future Cyberpunk game and with it being fresh in some of your minds, what would you think they'd do? That's what it says. What would you think they'd do better this time around, given how badly it launched and the resurgence it's going through, being at the top of the Steam charts and such at the moment? Much love and respect." Thank you, Liam.
Thanks, Liam.
Thank you.
I've got a simple answer to this. Just, if you're going to delay it, do a big delay. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be naive of me to say don't delay it, because that just happens all the time now. Pretty much every major game gets at least one delay, so it's par for the course. But if you're going to do that, I've got a list here of the changes in estimated or listed release date for the game. It was originally going to come out on the 16th of April. Then it was moved to the 17th of September. Then it was moved to the 19th of November. Then it was the 10th of December. And even then, they probably still wanted to delay it, but they thought, well, we can't anymore.
In time for Christmas.
We're going to have to, number one, it has to be in time for Christmas. And number two, people are that annoyed that we went from September to November to December, tiny little month by month delays, that we can't do another one. So that was its biggest problem, I think, is that they probably, they must have known that this actually needs far more work on it. When the 10th of December came around, they're like, but we've got to release it. And if they had just gone from the 16th of April to the 10th of December, then when December rolled round and the game wasn't ready, apart from maybe the pressure to release it for Christmas, they could have then said, you know what, we're really sorry, everyone, but this just needs more time, so we're going to do a second delay, and it's going to be summer next year or whatever. So I think that's a lesson that everyone should learn from this game, and probably has done. If you're going to delay your game, for the love of God, don't delay it by 4 weeks at a time. If you have even an inkling that you might need a bit longer than that, it's probably better to delay it by several months and not need that
and
time.
then bring it back if you've got
and bring it back if you
have.
have to. That would be a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
So that would be my main thing, having not played the game as well, so I'm not the best person to answer the question.
I mean, we're almost 2 years since it got released now, and it's only now that it's kind of a working game that anyone could just pick up and play, which is kind of why, along with the Netflix show, which has really done them massive favours, that show, is why it's doing so well at the moment on Steam. because it's not broken anymore and people can play it. It's why me and Ben have only just played it, because we didn't play it when it first came out, because you couldn't play it. It was impossible to play. So it would be good, just a thought here, CD Projekt Red, hey, maybe don't release a broken game. Just a quick one, because that screwed them for the first year and a half. Like they were like, no one was playing their game because everyone was like, what's the point in playing it? It's not going to work. There's so much wrong with it. If they just waited, like you say, another 18 months, they would have had a really good game on their hands. And no one would have been like, man, what a rubbish game that was. Remember when Cyberpunk happened? But in terms of the game itself, if we go away from the absolute nightmare that was their launch and all of their marketing and all that rubbish, I would like to see more of the world outside of Night City. I think that Night City is a really interesting city, but it's also quite small, and there isn't really a lot going on in the city apart from the things that you do in the missions. There's not much kind of like action on the streets. There's not much kind of like things you bump into. Everyone's just kind of meandering around all the time. There's no real like personality to the city itself. There's not like if you go on at like a nighttime, there's like a fair happening or some rubbish like that. There's no change in the city at all. So I would like to see a more diverse and exciting location for the new game. I don't want to go back to Night City. I think we're done there now. Like, if they're going to pick a different character, I don't think it needs to be in Night City. I think it'd be interesting to go elsewhere and see what else is happening in the world, because we got a lot of kind of like conversation about it. I got more than you did because you didn't do all the side quests.
No, I didn't.
But there's like the big war that happened and all the soldiers that have been like injured in that war. What happened? How's the rest of the world faring? There's like conversations about different locations and different cities and different countries. So what's happening, like, you know, in England during this time, because America is a wasteland apart from the big cities. So what's happening in other countries? So it would be exciting, if that's what we're going back to the world of Cyberpunk, to see more of what's going on in the world. And like I say, just have a more exciting location that's got stuff happening and things going on. I mean, you can bump into the odd side quests, but most of them are just like, you go to the location or you get a text message to be like, hello, you've completed enough levels now that you can access this side quest. And I'm like, brilliant, I'll go do that then. But yeah, it would be good to have a bit more excitement in the world. Please. Thank you.
I'm in complete agreement. I think as cool as Night City was to look at, there wasn't really anything going on there. Like, you'd see all these interesting businesses and nightclubs, and you'd hear about this seedy underbelly, but you'd only ever see the seedy underbelly when it was a scripted moment going in for a mission or whatever. I'd like to just be able to walk into some of these businesses or these clubs and just have stuff to do. I know that we've literally just come off the back of talking about open worlds and how they are too stuffed with things to do, but it's not even necessarily that these have to be things that
Packed
you can
to the brim.
Well, yeah, or even things that you have to engage with. I just like to walk into some of these businesses and just see what's going on, you know, stumble upon some weird underground chop shop off my own back that's beneath a restaurant or whatever, you know. There's so many interesting locations, and as I said, the businesses as well. You're like, oh, this sounds cool, and there are people queuing up for nightclubs that you can't go into, and it just feels like a lot of these places were at one time planned to be interactable, you know, in some way, and then they just weren't. So all the city ultimately ended up being was just a thing you would drive through to get to the next mission, which is a bit of a shame given the strength of the setting. In terms of CD Projekt themselves, they've done it again. They've announced things way too bloody early.
Yeah.
We are going to be hearing about this game for years, and they've got to learn from their mistakes. I feel like all the goodwill in the world, perhaps we're moving into the territory where it's a case of forgive but not forget what they did before. Give them the benefit of the doubt moving forwards. Maybe they will learn from their mistakes. They haven't here, because I don't want to know about this game until it's like maybe a year and a half away. Yeah. Really, I don't need to know that this exists yet. And as Peter said, as soon as they start announcing release dates, I'm not going to believe it.
No.
I'm not going to believe it for a second. There's no way in hell they're hitting that first release date that they announced. They just aren't.
Have they announced a...
No.
Oh,
they haven't yet. They just
I was
said
like,
that
huh?
they've said
What?
they're working on
Why?
it, which is again just too vague for me,
Aren't they
really.
And it'd be
Also
worse
working on a
for them.
Witcher one as well.
Sorry. what's that?
I saw a tweet this morning that they were talking about The Witcher and the follow-up to The
Oh
Witcher.
yeah, there's another Witcher
They're
game
doing
as
that
well.
as well.
We're not going to be hearing about that for ages.
But it'd be worse for that game in particular if there's any kind of delay than it would for any other, just based on the reputation of the first one. You know, like another game that was being developed in parallel by a different developer, if they announced the same length of delay, it would look worse on Cyberpunk 2, if whatever we're going to call it, just because of what the first one did. So they've got to be careful.
It feels like the tide of public opinion is starting to shift on Cyberpunk 2077, but certainly CD Projekt still have a lot of work to do, because I think a lot of people are going to be extremely wary about them now, and they're not going to buy into the hype anywhere near. Oh, arguably, last time, obviously, the hype was way over the top.
Yeah.
But they may struggle to generate much hype at all, because people will be like, I'll wait until it comes out.
Well, all this hype is literally just because of the Netflix show. The second that went out, and that is done really well and has gone down really, really
It's
well.
Edge
But they
runners.
didn't do anything. They gave them the IP, but they didn't make that. That was an anime company. They didn't make that, but because of that, that's why it's doing so well, and that kind of annoys me. Hey, I like Powell, the guy who does all of the marketing. I think he was one of those game runners or whatever it's called. I won't say showrunner like a TV show, but that's not what he is.
Directors?
Right.
Maybe a director, yeah.
Lead quest designer?
Potentially. He's a nice guy whenever he does the showcases. He's just happy to be there. But hey, the game was really bad, and nobody really kind of punished them for that. I mean, they got like actually sued and had to deal with all of the negative like monetary influences. But now they're getting all that bloody money back, aren't they? Jammy buggers. But
they never really lost any of it. They made
No.
all their money back on day one.
exactly. So I do hope that they've learned from their mistakes, but unfortunately, given the current situation, I just don't think they will. I think they're like, well, it turned out all right in the end.
Yeah.
Let's just do it
It's
again.
like Rockstar and the GTA trilogy.
Yeah.
They made all their money. They made so much money off
doesn't
it.
matter.
And they basically said that much in their like the financials and stuff. They're like, well, it performed really well, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Game doesn't work, but hey, look at my bank account.
Who cares? Who bloody cares?
Yeah.
Now it's time for a big discussion.
Yes.
It's big discussion time. Time for the big video game discussion this week. It comes courtesy of Conroy Milk, who says, greetings, BAP. So it was recently announced that Google is shutting down support for the Stadia and issuing full refunds to those who had purchased a Stadia. I even saw tweets from some developers who were working on projects for the Stadia, finding out via the press release published on Twitter rather than being warned in advance. But where do you feel as though things went wrong for the Stadia? Having launched just before the pandemic and during a time where there was a shortage of graphics cards, it looked on paper like the Stadia should have been a success. Do you think the failure was due to a lack of advertisement from Google, an oversaturation of the handheld market having to compete with both the Switch and the Steam Deck, or something else? Keep up the great work, Mr. Milk.
Thanks, Mr. Milk.
Thank you, Mr. Milk. It's interesting that Conroy identifies the Stadia as a mobile device rather than a home device, which is how I've only seen it used. That may have been the problem. Maybe they didn't market it enough as a mobile device. Because
Well, it wasn't really, because you have to have
and also,
a
didn't it
device
take them
to
ages
play
to
it on.
launch these features. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
into... We do actually have a statement
Yes.
from Seoul Stadia champion Sam Driver.
Didn't Adam Pacitti also have one?
He did, but I think Adam Pacitti tends to buy things and then not use them. I think that was the case with the Wii U that I'm currently using at
I
the
see.
office. It doesn't strike me that he played much of it, but he has it and a lot of games. So I think he just bought it when it came out.
Yeah.
Whereas Sam actually played his, and he was a big champion of it. So I haven't proofread this. It might be full of expletives, but here we go.
He spoke to us the first time when it first came out, or but maybe
Yeah,
before it came out.
my first weekend with the Stadia.
First
was,
weekend
Yeah.
with, yeah.
Talk to him about how he was finding it. So here we go. At the end. Well, it's not the end yet. It shuts down in next year, I think.
Pass.
I think it shuts down early next year. Citation needed. To be honest, it seemed like this day was always looming with Google's U-turny nature. There was the very rocky start, followed by a lot of confusion, and then things kind of settled into an enjoyable experience on the whole. The problem is that while Stadia had the tech and all the press initially, xCloud and PS Plus streaming very quickly got to equal footing with a much more exciting offering of games. The failure to provide a service or ever really make any announcement about the service when it launched in an unplayable state really didn't help their cause either. I couldn't really fault Stadia as a service after the bad launch subsided, but they just seemed to languish with little to no promotion. The controller/Chromecast sets being given away as bonus Google Store order items after others had paid for them, the lack of depth in their library, and their woeful PR, among many other factors. It was a great idea. But it wasn't actually a new idea, just something that had been honed a little more than anyone else. The main problem was that Google failed to elaborate exactly what the service was in any form of reasonable time frame. They absorbed all of the press and spouted a lot of buzzwords, but people still saw it as a Netflix-style service and rightly balked when they saw the prices they were asking for old games. Mm-hmm. The tech had a lot of issues initially, which would have had a massive adverse effect on anyone giving the service a go after reading about it in Wired or wherever. The failure to launch on top of it was just the iceberg appearing over the horizon, and we've been on that course ever since. Was it an easy way to play games on the move? Sure. Was it nice to be able to just take a controller anywhere you went without having to take a console? Sure. I think had they got out way ahead of any other game streaming service, and had it been under a different company with a more focused drive on making it a success, it might have fared better. Either way, if you can pick up the controllers cheap in the future and you're in need, they're very comfy and click satisfyingly, so there's at least that. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
A lot of great points made there. I was sort of expecting him to write about his personal experience, but he just sort of gave an overview, which is helpful from someone on the inside, having owned a Stadia that entire time. Mm-hmm. But Peter, what do you make of all this? Was it inevitable?
I feel like it probably was. I mean, I do think I'm a bit of a cynic with a lot of kind of new, interesting stuff in the gaming world, because I think I've always just liked what I know. I've always been quite comfortable. It's probably one of the reasons why I still like to play older games, and I'm always a bit apprehensive about newer stuff. So when this was announced, I was like, not sure. And I think particularly cloud gaming and streaming your games as a concept seemed like something that I didn't think would necessarily take off. Or I certainly thought, well, that's never going to rival traditional gaming as we know it. And maybe one day it will in decades and decades. But so it's difficult to even quantify what would have been success for the Stadia, because within the cloud gaming sphere, maybe it could have done well. But evidently it didn't even do well enough within that sort of slice of the pie, because Google are saying, well, we're not going to do it anymore. I think probably it's got to be a marketing issue more than anything else, because algorithmically I ought to have been being fed ads and bits of content for something like Stadia. The internet thinks that I'm, a gamer boy. Exactly. So why have I never seen an ad for Stadia, especially when Google own all the websites that have ads, or they own a very large and significant ad system on the internet. I
was thinking that the other day when they announced this, I was like, I hadn't even thought about Stadia in literally months. Like I was like, oh, it's still going. It's still a thing. No one ever talks about it. I've never seen anything for it. I just assumed that it wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, also Conroy Milk makes a good point that if you are talking about gaming on the go, you've got your Switch. Do you know what I mean? Like, Sam says, it's handy being able to take a controller with you. And I do not have the stats for this, but I imagine Stadia is a more powerful system in that it could run high-end stuff on, the server end rather than a Switch, which, sort of infamously, it's the one downfall of the Switch is it can't necessarily run things as well as your PS5s and so on, but you can take it on the go.
But the thing about this is that it's not just a controller, because you can't just walk into a hotel room with a controller and just have it work on the TV. Like you need something for that controller to like connect to. Obviously you can do it on your phone, that's fine. But if like your phone's like my phone, if I try to run a game on it, and I've done this with Xbox Game Pass, dies in like 20 minutes because I haven't got a brand new phone.
Mm.
And unless you have a good, powerful phone that can like sustain like Bluetooth into the controller and also running a game, like that's not going to work. You need maybe a laptop or a tablet, something that will run Stadia as well as the controller itself.
So you can't, will it not just work with a smart TV?
Well, maybe, but like how often do you go to a hotel that works with this?
Some smart
So
TVs,
yeah, like it would have to be maybe a bit of a
Yeah,
But you're
but
right,
obviously,
actually,
like
yeah,
you know, you
just
can't take it on the
anywhere.
train
Yeah.
and just like be able to play with just a controller.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas you can with the Switch.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my main things. I think that it's just not been marketed. I don't think I've ever seen a Stadia ad, or maybe in the early days I might have done. Yeah, Switch kind of outcompeted it in terms of being a take it on the go kind of thing. And then also probably exclusives is kind of always a good way to sell some hardware. And I don't think there was anything that really drew me in that much.
It was meant to be flipping, what's it called? The Quarry was developed as a Stadia exclusive.
Was
And
it?
if they had followed through with that, we would have probably probably asked Sam to
Yeah.
borrow his Stadia so
Yeah.
that we could play it because that is the kind of game that's not necessarily going to win any awards, but that developer and that sort of series, even though it's not part of Dark Pictures, has a lot of fans, and that would have been a huge get.
Well, wasn't Orcs Must Die 3 on
Yeah, I
there?
was going to say, in terms of, again, it's not a huge game that's going to draw in huge crowds, but on a personal level, Orcs Must Die 3 was a timed exclusive, and if they'd not said timed, I might have at least asked to borrow Sam's, if not, been tempted to look at Stadia and think, well, is there anything else on here that justifies me buying this so that I can play Orcs Must Die 3? But it was timed exclusive, and eventually it came around to Steam and consoles now as well. So I didn't need to buy one.
We, as in me and MB, subscribed to Stadia for about they had like a cheap month. They were like a half off month for a month. I played the first Little Nightmares game via Stadia, but I didn't have the controller. I just played it on my browser on my computer and just like HDMI'd it to the TV. But it was just another cloud gaming service, and at the time, Game Pass wasn't doing the same things they're doing now, so it was quite good. And you were like, wow, I can just stream this game. I've not got to download it, not got to take up storage on my computer. Fantastic. However, there wasn't that many games on there. I remember they had like a bunch of like free/included games that had like Destiny and Destiny 2. When that was on there, they had automatically unlocked season pass, so you didn't have to like pay for the season pass in Destiny 2. So we got a bunch of stuff from there, and then took our saves after that month to the PlayStation and just played it on there. But yeah, I played Little Nightmares 2 on there, and the first Little Nightmares, sorry, and the odd game. But like I say, most of them were like, you have to pay for them, and they were the same price as a regular game. And I was like, well, I'm already paying a subscription to Stadia. Like, I've just paid for this month, and now you want me to pay again for a game that if I don't continue my subscription, I won't be able to play anymore? Like, I don't understand this. The games costed the same amount as if you were to just like have the game in a physical copy in front of you.
Mate, that's one issue then.
On Steam.
And it's a step below even digitally owning it.
Yeah, exactly, because you can't ever download it. Yeah. So if you haven't got internet, you can't play that game that you own. I mean, admittedly, that is an issue with a couple of the other systems currently, but
it's a new twist.
Yeah, fun new twist. But yeah, you still can't play that. And I mean, I've done cloud gaming with Xbox Cloud. Like Xbox Game Pass Cloud Gaming. Recently, when I was between homes, I was streaming to my laptop. My laptop is bad, but it worked, did the job because it wasn't actually doing anything. It was just functioning as a screen. I have my Xbox controller that's just Bluetooth that I can just connect to my laptop or my phone. Brilliant, easy peasy. However, Game Pass did everything better than what Stadia did. I don't necessarily think PlayStation Plus is a factor in this at all.
No.
I don't think that has anything to do with this. You can't stream, well, you can stream a few games on PlayStation Plus because you have to, but you can't like necessarily take your PlayStation account mobile. You have to bring your PlayStation with you. I think it's all Game Pass, and I don't think Game Pass killed Stadia. I think Google killed Stadia because they just didn't tell anyone about it. But yeah, I just think cloud gaming is so hit or miss, and with Game Pass, there was just so many more games that I was like, gee, I hope it works this time because I want to play this. Whereas Stadia, I was like, if it doesn't work, it's not a big deal because there's only 4 games on here that I want to play. So, yeah, I just think that they just didn't do anything correctly, really. They just kind of were like, we're the first ones to do it, so we'll just do what we want, and then didn't do anything kind of correctly in the way they did it, which I think is why it's dying. So,
yeah, it should have worked because if there was any company that could enter the games industry, it would have been Google. They had the money, they bought some studios, they had the right creatives involved, they had industry veterans involved, and then they just bugged it up. Like they got bored of it.
Yeah.
Like they just lost interest in it. And one by one, we saw these big names that had gone there in the first place leave and set up their own thing and work on different stuff. It's absolutely, for me at least, a marketing issue. As you said, Peter, I never saw an advert for Stadia. I was never tempted to get it anyway.
No,
but the fact that it wasn't a Netflix style subscription service, which as Sam said, I think a lot of people thought it probably was going to be, was a huge point against them. And if there was any company in the world that could afford to launch a Game Pass competitor, it was Google.
Yeah.
They could have done that if they wanted to, but they just saw it as not worthwhile, ultimately, in the end, for whatever reason. They also struggled, I think, to win over the core gaming audience, who are exactly the people that they should try and appeal to, because outside of a few who were willing to give it a go, there were thousands upon millions more who were laughing at every stumble that the Stadia had. It was sort of like, oh, what's wrong with the Stadia now? Have you seen what's going on with Stadia this week? Just sort of jeering and cheering, and that is not a position you want to be in if you're trying to enter this well-established audience or trying to appeal to this well-established audience. And I feel like they just didn't get that. It reminds me a lot of what Sony has been like with various PlayStation platforms, in particular the Vita, where they sort of announced it and people were like, this is great. You know, it could be better. There's some things wrong with it, but like, it's a great idea. And then they just sort of pretended it didn't exist until they quietly cancelled it. I think it's good that they're refunding everybody. I think that's an interesting move as well. And again, shows just how much money Stadia has, or Google, has. But it just... I don't know. I'm hesitant to say that it was ahead of its time, because that, I think, is... I mean, we've had streaming things before. We've had the OnLive and things like that were meant to be these dedicated, physical consoles, physical hardware, whatever. That's the past, man. It's time to stream. And Stadia, we may well look back on and say, well, the alternative that we've got now, this new startup, is rubbish compared to what Stadia was offering all those years ago. But again, I just don't think the internet's there yet. I don't think the interest is there in just streaming games.
No.
We're just getting to the point where people are coming to terms with the fact that it's cheaper and easier to buy things digitally than it is physically. So I think we've still got a long way to go before the general population is open to that, which again is why I think it was so important to appeal to people like us, which they just didn't do at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I say, I don't think ahead of their time is the correct thing, because if Game Pass goes to show anything, then they would literally right at the correct time. They just didn't put any effort in.
Yeah. As Conroy says as well, the timing couldn't have been better in terms of
pandemic,
stock shortages, chip shortages, boats getting stuck in the canal, ruining global trade routes, and the pandemic, everyone's stuck at home. It would have been perfect. And I didn't hear a peep out of Google Stadia. That entire year and a half we were on again, off again, working from home.
Yeah.
Well, that's that.
We'll continue to see how it unfolds over the next few months, and I think it will be interesting. It will make for interesting reading, some Jason Schreier article or some documentary in a few years. What went wrong with the Stadia? Like talking to people inside, and it's just, Bill Google came in one day and he said, you know what, actually, this is stupid.
I'm over it. Bored now.
I'm done. So there we are. But let us know what you think in the comments below, and on various places around the internet. Peter's going to tell you where they are.
youtube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. It's where all of our content goes out. That's both videos and live streams. When we're streaming on both YouTube and Twitch, we're modded by Lord Brotovich, Trailing Badger, and Mr. Black. Did you know, if you've got Amazon Prime, part of that entire bundle that you're already paying for is a Twitch sub. You can just spend that on us if you like. So why not? Why not? Do it now.
Why not?
Huh?
Twitter.com and Facebook.com/Team TripleJump. You can go to those for all sorts of things, video and live stream announcements, little bits of news and things like that, legacy video content, and kind of interactive bits and bobs. Fraser looks after those, and he also looks after TikTok.com/@Team TripleJump for our TikToks. We've also got patreon.com/Team TripleJump. There's loads of different tiers on there with all kinds of different rewards, including early access to content on the channel, asking questions on the podcast, being a producer, getting physical bits of merch, loads of things. So go and have a look at those.
We have a website. It's triplej.mup, that's triplejU.mp. So as Jump, it's very clever. If you want to join our Discord and chat with our wonderful community, you can go to triplej.mup/Discord. On Discord, we're modded by Jack, Joe, Tori, and Hollow Eyes. And if you tell you to do something, bloody well do it, all right? If you want to listen to the podcast in its audio form, maybe you're a train man and you're striking this weekend and you want something to listen to while you're on the picket line, why not go to triplej.mup/podcast.
You say train man?
Yeah. There's
Or
lots
woman.
of woman. You could be a train driver, or you could be a ticket booth person,
Yeah.
or
Are they collectively known as train people?
no,
Conductor.
Trainees.
trainees.
Very
Trainers.
good.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to watch one of our live stream VODs, you can go to triplej.mup/VODs. If you want to book a cameo from us, any of us, or James Jenkins, you can go to triplej.mup/cameo. And if you want to buy some sick and cool merch, keep an eye on the Twitter at TripleJump Store. You can buy some sick and cool merch that looks like this. Wow. This is no longer available. You can go to triplejumpshop.com and make sure you're following at TripleJumpShop on Twitter for the latest merch announcements.
Why not follow Peter and Ashton on Instagram and Twitter at @PeterAustin and at Scrambled Ashton and myself just on Twitter at Confused_Dude. We do lists every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Streams every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday being the joint stream.
Blaze it.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday being solo streams on Twitch. Worst Games Ever is Friday for patrons. It's fortnightly as well. Sunday for everyone else. I got all over. I need to flip and lie down.
You got there.
I'm having a real issue today. The podcast is every Saturday and we do shows all the bloody time, so please come along and check them out. Why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms and we really appreciate it. All sorts going out this week, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weirdest games ever. Is that the Sunday
Halloween
for everyone, or is that
Yeah,
just
Sunday.
the? Yeah. Well, it's
Went out last week for patrons.
Yeah.
So if you've already seen it on patreon.com/TripleJump.
It's a Halloween episode. I know it's a bit early, but the next one will land after Halloween. So
Yeah.
there you go. It's the October episode. So go and have a look at the spooky game.
Absolutely.
We have a couple of Quip Scopes on our channel this week. I played some Jackbox Party Pack 9, so you can see how I got on with that. And then we had a lovely sponsor for one Quip Scope this week.
Yes.
For Near Automata, what's it called?
The End of Your Her edition, I believe, which is the Switch port of Near Automata. I urge you all, if you're able to give the video a watch and also click the link in the pinned comment / the description box. You don't necessarily have to buy a copy when you go through the link, but clicking the link will help us loads. So please do go and do that if you can spare a moment. We'd appreciate it. Additionally, we're hiring, as we said at the top of the show, triplejU.mp. Maybe it's /careers. I'm not
Yeah, I
entirely
think so.
sure.
Yeah, I think it
But
is.
you can click on the careers button at the bottom of the page, and you've got until the 24th of October if you want to come work with us on some ranked lists. We're looking for a full-time staff writer working either remotely or in the office with us. So give it a go.
Also, some
Go
people were
ahead and
saying like, oh, I don't know anything about Silent Hill, so can I write about something else? But also we do lots of different topics. So
And even if you don't know about Silent Hill, we're going to get you to write about
things you don't necessarily know.
necessarily
All kinds of
know.
things,
So
yeah.
it really is a demonstration of your research ability.
Yeah.
You don't need to know about Silent Hill to get the job. You need to be able to research Silent Hill.
Yes, we
Yeah.
need to show that you can research things. You know,
That you don't
that's
know about.
it's very important. So while you could end up writing about things you know a lot about, there will be lots of times where you won't know a lot about what
Like
you're writing
every
about.
Shrek game ranked.
Exactly. So we'll need you to, put that research cap on. So do bear that in mind and do give it a go. Finally, as I said at the top of the show, again, the Tat Appeal opens next week. There'll be a video about it on Friday. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears extended with your Go-Go Gadget ear holes and prepare those Tat boxes because oh boy, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's that time soon.
One last time for the sponsor, Ben?
Yes, it is the Mario movie plot synopsis, which is, of course, all about Mario Lopez. There are 2 Mario movies, and this one has the cake that you all deserve.
Yes.
And the washboard abs.
Yes.
So,
Dummy thick.
there it is.
Indeed.
You used that
You're
right.
doing
I've learned.
Well done, man. That's good. Right for Kotaku if you wanted.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching / listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. Look after yourselves. Bye.
Bye.